Welcome to TORAH Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with episode number 31 of TNT EXPOSED, Twisted New Testament with Rabbi Stuart, the man, Federow from Houston, Texas. Rabbi, welcome back to the show. Good to see you again.
Always good to see you too.
Oh man, I've trained myself to turn away from the screen whenever I start the music, because if I don't, I will just crack up. Because you're just always finger dancing. There. Whoa, hold it, keep going. Show us. This is priceless. Finger dance, come on.
You should dance with me. Hey,
okay, let it be
laugh
known.
at my dancing.
Let it be known, I danced with Rabbi Federow in the finger.
When I was much younger, I was on an exhibition dance team for a dance studio and was used to teach ballroom.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
Yep.
Very good. So you still do ballroom dancing?
Not with my knees.
Yeah, right. Very true.
I know. I really miss it horribly.
Yeah, I bet you do actually, because you know what's funny is my mom, she's always been into dancing, and I can't picture her dancing now because she's much older and she has a hard time getting around. But man, when that music turns on, she just has this little hip issue that they start taking off without her. So it's kind of weird. It's fun though. So okay, so I'm signing in right now. We're going to turn the phone lines open again. This is episode 31. Can you believe we're on a 301st video for TORAH Talk? 301.
I think that's fabulous.
Videos.
Yesher koach. May God grant you the strength to continue to do what you just did, what you're doing.
Thank you.
By the way, William, you know
Yes.
how you got the little bitty word TORAH Talk?
Yes.
Okay, above the word, I forgot what the word is. Give me a second.
On the website.
It's right next to the itty bitty little picture above each and every single one of the videos. 300, 301, 299, 298. There's a little bitty word TORAH Talk.
Yes.
If you click there, it takes you right to the one that's live.
Oh, okay, hold on. Now it's time for my education. Repeat that, because I thought I was following you, but now you lost me. I'm going to go to...
Okay.
I'm going to go
to the regular, normal YouTube TORAH Talk page.
Okay, got it. Wait, let me view...
Under home. Okay.
I need to view as a returning subscriber. Hold on. Okay, I'm on the page as you would see it.
Right. Okay. And above, I think the most recent one was 300, number 13, Hebrew for Fun and Profit with Gavriel Sanders.
Got it.
So above the picture, it says TORAH Talk uploaded a video 1 day ago.
Oh, right.
So if you click on that word TORAH Talk, okay, it brings you to the page with 301 that we're doing right this moment.
Interesting, because
then you click on that, and then you got it.
You know what's funny is as I was trying to follow you along, I clicked on it so that I could view my own TORAH Talk page as a visitor, and it actually showed 301:31 with TNT Exposed on it. It says live now, so maybe a setting, but that's a good note though, because if anybody does come onto the YouTube page and they can't find it, follow those instructions and it will take you there as a second option.
It like refreshes it to include that on the list.
Okay.
And then you click on the on that one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for actually clarifying. I had no idea. I don't ever go there from the back door at all.
Right.
It's always from the Creator Studio. So thank you for including it. So now, just to nick it in the bud, now, do you have YouTube chat available?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Hi, Frank. Hi, Jacob. Hi, Y2K760. Hi, Dael.
You got me beat. I only see 3. So apparently my catch-up is a little bit slower than yours is. So, okay, so basically the phone lines are open. I'll put the number on your screen now. Right there it is. Please do call and say hi. If you've never called in, call in and say hi to Rabbi Federow. Let him hear your voice, and maybe we can generate a question that's a hot topic. I will tell you this. I'm going to bring up something that happened today, and it wasn't anything dramatic or anything like that. It was just something that I have friends on Facebook who have not left the church yet. Some of them have been watching our videos, and they're really wanting to learn. They're really open-minded, but they haven't been able to cross that bridge yet. And sometimes they'll read my post and they'll see something that I wrote and be a little concerned with it because it may come off as offensive, and it's very highly probable that is the case. Let me put this. I'm going to park this on hold just so I can finish the thought. Caller, hang with me just a minute. And I just posted a recent post. You know, when I make a comment on Facebook, I don't use Facebook for fraternizing. I don't use Facebook to post pictures of my kids smearing chocolate on their face. You know, I don't post pictures of my goats jumping the fence or my chickens flying over the roof. Facebook for me is I'm sorry, the only word that comes to mind is ministry. That's a very evangelical.
No, I think that's
okay.
Yeah.
And so my whole purpose in life, especially right now, is to provoke rational thinking amongst people of all
you're a
nations.
subversive.
Okay, so the point being is, if you get, and this was my post, I said if I offended you, and it probably would, that just means that what I did was effective. It's a tough way of saying it, but most people,
like I said, you're a subversive.
You know, one thing that I actually heard a pastor say one time, and it was words of wisdom. He said, if you take a paint can, if you buy a gallon of paint from Home Depot or from Walmart or from Kelly Moore or whatever, and you use it and you set it on your shelf and it sits there for 6 months, when you pull it off the shelf, you can't just open it up and start painting with it. You got to shake that sucker violently. I mean, literally, like shake the crap out of it. Because if you don't, you're literally wasting it and you're creating a lot more work, and it's not going to do anything but cause trouble for you. My job is to be that paint shaker, and people do not like it. And I'm not trying to offend you, but I am trying to wake you guys up, because that's what my son after me will be doing the same exact thing, period. Our family is drawn to shining the light to the nations, and that's just the way it's going to be. If you are a Christian and you're following me on Facebook, understand that. It's not to hurt your feelings. You know, the bottom line is, the reason why I created this show with Rabbi Federow is because I want people to know that what they've been following is phony. It's fake. It's baloney. You will find that out if you stay open-minded. But if you're closed-minded and you want to be a troll, go ahead. As long as you're respectable, I'll even let you troll the websites. The actual YouTube chat. I don't care as long as you stay respectable. Because my hope is that one day you're going to hear the one thing that triggers you, that makes it switch and say, wow, I never thought about that. So stick around. Do it, but don't be disrespectful. And definitely don't be disrespect my rabbis, because that's where I take offense for sure. So with that said, let's take this caller, Rabbi. I'm sorry I've been jibber-jabbering, but this has been on my heart for a while. So are you good with that?
I'm very good with that.
Okay, cool. Okay. Caller, thank you for tuning in, calling. Welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
It's Jay from Alabama. How y'all doing?
Jay, man,
Thank God. How are you?
I love your calls. Every time you call, you've got a great question. Jay, lay it on us. What's the question for Rabbi?
Oh, I always have questions stashed around.
That's good. What do you got?
Question has to do with Bible literalism. That's something I've always struggled with.
Explain your question first before you ask
stories in Tanakh are true and actually happened in history. So my question is that a requirement in Judaism? Can I just find deep meaning in the stories without believing that they're true?
Jay, do me a favor. So are you asking? You have to forgive me because once you said that, I don't know what Bible literalism is. Are you saying? Are you asking? Is everything to be taken literally? Was that the question? I totally missed it.
I'm asking, do I have to believe that the stories in the Tanakh actually happened in history? Is that acceptable not to believe that?
That's actually a really good question, because I actually got a question similar to that, Rabbi. Somebody asked me before, how do we even know that the prophets were real? How do we know that wasn't all supposed to be taken metaphorically? Rabbi, do you understand his question?
Don't.
Do you understand his question completely?
I understand his question.
Okay, perfect. Jay, let's hang up so you can tune in for the answer, okay?
Well, he may have some follow-up questions.
Do you want to keep him on the phone? Too late.
I guess not.
That's okay. He hung up. We had another caller, by the way, who called in right after that. I'm hoping they left a message. And with that said, if you call in and you don't get through, leave a detailed message, because I will seek to find it during the show and actually play it live, as long as we don't have another live caller waiting. So leave me a message. Don't tell me your phone number, because I can't call you back. Don't don't say I tried to call in. Don't explain why you called. Just give us the question that you have on your mind, because I'd hate to miss it. You guys have got a lot of really good questions, and I want to make sure we get them on air. So, Rabbi, I'm going to pass this over to you. Meanwhile, the phone lines are back open again. Call in now.
William, this is a conversation between you and me, so we're not passing it to me. We're going back and forth.
Okay, I'm good with that too.
All right. Well, just because I want you to chime in on this too.
Okay, very good.
Okay, and a question like this, I think, needs some explanation.
Certainly.
Okay, look, the word fundamentalist does not mean fanatic. The word fundamentalist means someone who takes the Bible literally, that feels that the literal biblical verses are without error. And would you go along with that definition of the word fundamentalist?
That's where you have to actually educate me. I honestly do not know.
Okay, well, as I understand the term, that's how it's used. Judaism has never been a fundamentalist faith.
Okay.
Never. If you take a look, it's either Ezra and Nehemiah, but it goes all the way back to when Cyrus of Persia allowed the Jews to go back to the Promised Land after the first destruction of the temple. It says that Ezra read from the text, clearly that's got to be the Torah scroll, and explained it to the people. So going all the way back to Ezra, and let's say about, what was it, about 520? I'm so bad with dates. So 2,500 plus years. Okay. Even back then, you had prophets explaining what's in the text of the Torah, and not necessarily taking it literally, but understanding it through the eyes of the Jewish faith. So another thing you have to understand when he asked the question about biblical literalism, which part? Okay, which verse? If we understand that God is spiritual and not physical, if we understand that if we conceptualize God as being purely spiritual, then when it says that God walked in the Garden of Eden in the cool of the day, how can we take that literally? Does God have toes?
Right.
Okay, does God have an ankle or a heel? Okay, in other words, there are passages in the Bible that clearly are meant to be interpreted, and there are passages in the Bible that are clearly meant to be taken literally. Thou shalt not murder means don't kill an innocent.
Right.
Okay, now you may take that, and this is where Judaism comes in, and how do you apply it? Okay, is someone who is walking into your house at 3 o'clock in the morning to steal from you, is he an innocent? No. So it's not murder if you get into an argument with him because he's trying to steal and harm you at 3 o'clock in the morning, right, and in self-defense you fight back. So I mean,
right.
There are two operative terms, okay, or operative command. No, I don't know what to call them. Okay, dictums in Judaism. Okay, one of them is use your head. Okay, God gave us intelligence and our ability to think about what we're doing. The second thing is don't be a jerk.
Huh. Right.
Okay, so, Darren on the chat thing, says, how do we take Adam and Eve? Are we talking steaks, magic trees, man originating 6,000 years ago? By the way, where does the Bible say it was 6,000 years ago? Right. I think that's a calculation, but and when he says the literal interpretation has been falsified by science, whoever said the book was a scientific book, it's not a scientific book, it's a theological book.
Right.
Okay, and there are things in the Bible, there are things from the biblical period that have in fact been validated through archaeological digs. Okay, we know that the Jewish people go back that far because there's a stele, Merneptah stele, that, in whatever language it was, Canaanite or Mesopotamian or whatever, and it says Merneptah was the king, and it says that Israel has been destroyed. Well, one, it wasn't destroyed, and two, the fact that it goes back that far and their name mean that there was a people back then known as Israelites, as Israel, that far back. So there are things that are validated that we know are true. By the way, that leads to another conversation when we talk about literalism, biblical literalism, and that is, when we say something is true, do we necessarily mean it's factual?
Right.
When you're dealing with theology, spiritual things, ethics, morality, something can be very true but not be factual. Similarly, something can be very factual but not be true. And I've said this before, William, talking with you, great movie. Paul Newman, Sally Field. It's called Absence of Malice.
Okay.
And in the movie, there's this running battle between truth and factual and truth. Can something be true but not factual? And can something be factual but not true?
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
It's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
And, when it comes to biblical literalism, you got to use your head.
Right.
Okay. And understand that if you're interpreting something, then any interpretation is equal to any other interpretation, except when there is a verse in the Bible that, taken literally, the Peshat, the simple, sure, obvious meaning of the text, if it contradicts the interpretation, you have to reject the interpretation.
Right.
So, to answer his question, it depends on which verse you're talking about. It depends on which story you're talking about. It depends how you understand truth. But Judaism has always been, by its definition, not a fundamentalist faith. We've always had to interpret from a Jewish perspective.
Right.
Okay, one more thing, okay, and I know we've talked about this too, and that is, people will say, oh, well, ancient Mesopotamia had the same stories that you find in the Bible, so the biblical accounts are not...
I'm glad you actually brought that up. I was watching that too. It says that the global flood was disproved, and I'm thinking that's completely nonsense, because, like you just mentioned... I'm guessing you were commenting on that, right? This says, Bama Boy says, science disproves a global flood. Local is possible, he says. But
read the Bible. Pick up the Bible for
yeah.
once, people, and actually read what it says. Let me find the exact verse. Okay, I think it's 9:10, but give me a second.
Let's see, what am I thinking here? What chapter and verse? What book?
Genesis chapter 9. Okay.
Okay, let me pull that up here. Gracious 9.
Oh, come on. I can't find a halfway decent translation.
I got the Complete Jewish Bible. Will that work?
Complete Jewish Bible, if it's the one I think it isn't Jewish.
I know, but it's David Stern, and it's probably the closest you're going to get if you want English outside of King James, other than just reading an actual Tanakh translation from the Jewish Publication Society. Okay, so I'm in Genesis chapter 9. What verse are you thinking?
It's Genesis chapter 9, verse 10. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, tell me if this sounds good to you, okay? And let me put it on screen, just to be thorough here. Okay, 9:10, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds... Am I a verse off? Or is that right?
9:10. Sounded right. Go ahead.
The livestock and every wild animal with you, all going out of the ark, every animal on earth. I will establish my covenant with you.
No. And with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the livestock, and every wild animal with you, all going out of the ark, every animal on earth.
Right.
Why can't people read the Bible and... Okay.
Oh, but the thing is... hold on.
Wait. Let's... Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Just to be fair, there are people, and you know this as well as I do, there are people out there who just don't believe that the Bible is inerrant. I mean, as far as the Tanakh goes, they don't believe that it's accurate. If they already don't believe it, there's nothing you or I could say. We couldn't direct them to a verse to read to make them believe, because they don't believe
William,
what's written.
If a verse... Start over. If you have a story in the Bible
Okay.
Using, for example, the story of Noah. And you have somebody say that, well, it couldn't have been a flood over the entire earth, maybe a little section of the earth.
Right.
And I can show you a verse in the Bible that, if you read it, says exactly what they're saying. That it wasn't the entire earth, that it was only a part of the earth.
Oh.
So, for example, if I say, "Hey, William, what's doing in your world?"
Right.
That means your world is what's going on in Japan.
Right. Good point.
Okay, what's going on in your world takes place in Siberia of Russia.
Yeah.
Your world means the world in which you inhabit, what comes across your desk, what crosses your path in life, right?
Agreed.
So when it says that this is what happened in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean over the planet. Take a look at Genesis chapter 9, verse 10. I don't know why people can't pick up the blessed Bible and read it.
What was the? Did I have to do this right? Hang on.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm trying to show your book in the camera while you're talking.
Well, don't worry about. Yeah, thank you. Okay, but go put the biblical passage.
Okay,
up.
Genesis 9:10. No.
Yes, 9:10.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it. And with every living creature. Let me just see what the King James says. Okay, let's put that up.
King James. Let's see if they catch it.
Okay, here we go.
Yes, there we go. Fine. So the King James finally got something right.
Okay, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth.
To every beast of the earth.
What does that mean? What did I miss?
William, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. They're going from the ark to every other beast on the earth.
Whoa!
It's explicit.
It's
explicit. It is explicit in the Hebrew.
Oh my gosh!
Let me go back
I've
to
never
it.
seen that before.
That kol nefesh hachaya,
really,
and all of the souls, living souls, asher itchem ba'of ubahema, okay, which is with you. I would translate this as from the bird and the beast, uvachol chayat haaretz. In all of the life of the earth, itchem, with you, mikol yotzei hateva, from all that go out of the ark, lechol chayat haaretz, to all of the life of the earth.
Huh.
They're going from the life in the ark to all the animals that are already out of the ark.
Oh my gosh, I have never seen that. And you're certain about this?
I'm reading.
No, I know
William,
you're reading it, but it's a translate. I mean, it's an understanding of what you're reading.
If the Hebrew says from to, and you're going from the ark to the beasts of the earth.
No, I disagree. Let me tell you why. Because if I tell my son, I want you to go outside and I want you to clean the yard. I want you to clean everything from the trash all the way to the chicken poop. I want everything cleaned. Right? Doesn't mean I want you to clean the trash that's between me and the chicken poop. That means I want you to clean everything. I don't care what it is, between if it's trash or if it's wood or if it's chicken poop. I want it all cleaned.
Cleaning.
No.
That's
buying.
The verb here.
Buying. Here's the thing. I'll give you another example. Wait. Okay.
If I say to you,
wait.
Walk out of the house.
Wait.
To the barn.
That's different though. That's different context.
No, it's not. That's what it says.
Look. My wife knows that I know her shopping list. She sends me to the store. She says, "I want you to buy stuff for salad. I want everything from cabbage all the way to celery." She wants everything in between and including those things.
But you're using a verb whose preposition doesn't go along with the Hebrew that we're talking about.
That's what I want to know. So you're teaching us Hebrew now. That's what we need to know. Thank you. And now I'm actually believing you more because you're telling me it's a grammatical issue with Hebrew that contradicts that which we're used to in English. There's
perfect. A difference between I want you to buy everything from peas to asparagus, which includes buying peas and includes buying asparagus.
I have got to be fair.
But if
I had to at least mention it. I had to be fair, and you clarified that in my fairness, I was still in error. I'm good with that.
Because if I say you walk out from the house to the barn, it doesn't mean, or if I say let the kids in your house, when they go out of the house, go to the kids in the barn.
Yes.
It means there are kids in the house and kids in the barn. They're not the same group.
Okay.
That's what the Hebrew says.
Okay. Cool.
Hello?
I'm still here.
So did you follow what I'm saying?
I do. No, you're right, and I understand that. Look,
William, let me explain something.
Okay.
By and large, yes, I understand. Jewish tradition holds that the flood was over the entire earth. I understand that. But if I can show you a verse that allows us to interpret it in such a way, by its simple, basic translation, where it could be understood that the flood did not cover the entire earth and the animals went out of the ark and then went to the other animals on the earth, and understand that in a way that fits science, then why not?
I'm good with that. I just never, I've never known that before.
Abraham Kook, first chief rabbi of Israel, 1948, because he was the first chief rabbi of Israel, got inundated with all of these questions about evolution and the Temple Mount and just all of the stuff. But this is before, I think he died in 48 too, but I think he lived to see the establishment of the state of Israel. At any rate, he got all these questions asked. One of the things he was asked was about evolution. Okay, and Rabbi Abraham Kook, his response was, look, evolution is a theory, and we have our understanding of the Bible. But if that theory were ever proven, okay, we don't ignore science. It means that our interpretation and understanding of the Bible is what has to change.
I would have to agree. Right.
It'll take me a while, but I'll go find the quote. Okay, but the point is that if we have a scientific fact, there was a flood. We know there was a flood. You dig down deep enough in certain parts of the world, you hit seashells.
Right.
Okay? So we know there's a flood.
Yeah.
The Mesopotamians understand it with their theology and their approach to the world. Okay? And Judaism understands it our way. And the way we have it in the Bible is what God's revelation was to us about that event. And I know we've talked about this before. So if I can take that revelation from God, Genesis 9:10, and I can interpret it in this way to allow me to what's the word? Be in consonance with science. Why not?
Man, I'm still shaken. I mean, literally shaken by that translation you gave me.
Shake it up, baby.
No, shake it up, baby. Now, okay. So seriously, now you just took me all the way to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Okay.
Sometimes world doesn't mean the entire world.
I cannot
That's what I was saying.
I can
say, William, how's your world? And it doesn't mean everything in the world.
I just want to read it again. Just do me a favor. Let me read it again because I'm literally so set aside by this that I'm just completely mind baffled over it.
And see,
because
when
it actually
Faircloth says, can that too be translated as toward? Exactly. The animals of the ark are going toward the animals of the earth.
Right.
That would automatically mean the whole world didn't get flooded, or else there wouldn't be animals towards to walk to have the. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The animals when they walk out of the ark wouldn't have other animals to go toward unless the water didn't flood the entire planet.
I want to put this up again. Okay. What I'm looking for is redundant speech, and right here it says, and
by saying the same things more than once over and over again.
Yeah, with no purpose. So here's the thing, though, it doesn't do that. And with every living creature that is, let me get rid of this. That is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, of every beast of the earth. With it actually clarifies of every beast of the earth that's with you.
Ichem.
From all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. So it clarifies two different set of beasts. One, the beast of the earth, and the beasts that are with you.
This is my whole point.
Unbelievable. I have never seen that.
Uvachol chayat haaretz itchem, with you, mikol yotzei hateva, from all of that go out of the ark, lechol chayat haaretz, to all of the life of the earth,
that's just mind-boggling, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And again, William, I'm not saying that the sage's blessed memory didn't interpret the flood to
Right.
be the entire world.
Right.
They did. But if there's a passage in the Bible that we just read that allows us to see it, that is more in consonance with science, why not?
Yeah, right. That's just really
There's
cool.
a freedom of understanding. This goes back to his original question. which
Julie,
you
I
probably asked
totally
an hour and a
agree.
half ago.
Mine completely blown. Absolutely. At least Shakers, same thing.
It goes along with his question from 100 years ago when he first asked the question, because we've probably been talking about this too long already.
Well, no, I don't think so, because there's a lot to cover. In fact, Eliyahu Lakes just mentioned another thing I want you to comment on. He says, let's not forget that there are many other, and I want you to repeat what you did about 10 episodes ago. Let's not forget that there are many other ancient cultures that recorded their own flood narratives worldwide. Repeat what you told me a handful of episodes ago regarding that topic.
And I kind of hinted at it just now tonight.
Right.
Okay. There was a flood. There had to have been a flood. If there wasn't a flood, why would everybody be talking about a flood?
Absolutely.
But the ancient cultures looked at the flood, and what they saw there reflected their own theology and their own belief system. The Jewish people, the Israelites, the Hebrews, whatever word you want to call them, okay, they also looked at the same flood and understood it from the Jewish frame of reference. So when, what's his name? Me and names. The Mesopotamian guy.
Oh, yeah. He just commented a minute ago.
Utnapishtim.
Okay.
Okay. When Utnapishtim, okay, gets into his thing that floats on the water, it's got a what's it called? A rudder. Okay, it's got a rudder. Okay, and it's got a person who helps Utnapishtim sail, for lack of a better term, sail the boat. And it's a boat, which means who's the captain?
Right.
Utnapishtim. Okay. Gilgamesh epic. Okay. Judaism comes along, sees the flood, and our revelation from God says that the thing that floats on the water was like an oversized shoebox in shape, didn't have a rudder, which means from the Jewish perspective, God was the captain of the ship.
Wow.
How do the waters flood? In the Mesopotamian story, the gods were fighting among themselves, and but one of them accidentally poked a hole in the sky, which caused the water to come down. So the act of the flood is capriciousness, is by accident. In the Jewish understanding of what happened, in other words, our divine revelation about this same event is that God saw the evil on the earth, and God's response to the evil was to flood the earth. It's an act of morality. It's an act of divine punishment to the earth, because they got so evil, they were unredeemable. So, where'd it go? I lost it. What's his name?
Let's see. It was
Elihu. So Eliyahu. So
Eliyahu,
the
right.
point is that of course there were other cultures that recorded their own flood narrative, but in their flood narrative, okay, the narrative tells us more about the people who wrote the narrative than it does about the flood itself.
Right.
Is that what you meant? Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah. Well, generally, in a general, I guess you could say just an easy phrase to repeat to others is, if anything, the other cultures. In fact, what brought to my attention was people would say other cultures also documented a flood, which would discredit, generally speaking, the Hebrew announcement of it, or saying that they repeated something that happened in someone else's history. But if anything, if other cultures have actually brought up this worldwide global flood, or whatever the flood was, and it's actually in other cultures, it doesn't discredit it; it actually proves it.
Exactly.
So,
and the difference, it's not the way the stories are similar that count;
right.
It's how they are different that counts.
Yep, absolutely. Man, that's good stuff. Good stuff, Rabbi. Wow. Okay,
Well,
so guys, phone lines are open, man. We are not going anywhere. It's 8:51. We started about 15 minutes late, and I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So y'all better come up with some questions. Call in, say hi. I'm ready to rock and roll. Hey, I will tell you this. We are.
William,
Yes.
I want to point out one of our live chat, Dog Cow 666.
Got it.
William and me, thank you for your advice last week. This was the first
Oh,
Shabbat
yeah.
in 3 years we didn't have someone bring up JC in the Torah discussion.
You remember
Best
Nick, right?
regards, Nick in Florida.
He was the one who called in, right? Said he had this, like.
That's right.
In fact, you and I had a later discussion a couple days ago, right?
Yes, we did.
Regarding this topic. We're going to be making a module out of soon. So with that said, let's take this next caller. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from, and why you are calling.
Hi, it's Ellie from Iowa.
You said this is Sally?
I'm calling because we have a lot of Amish in town.
You have a lot of Amish in town. Do me a favor real fast. Make sure that if you're on a cell phone,
I'm getting a feedback.
it's probably from your phone. Do you have your computer on while you're talking to me?
I have the sound off.
Okay, as long as your sound is off, this is the first report of having feedback so far. So it could be on your end, not that it is for sure, but we're having a hard time hearing you. So if you're on a cell phone, make sure that if you have a weak signal inside your house, maybe you might want to go out on the front porch, or if you're on a home landline, make sure you're close enough to your wireless base so you're not staticky.
You sound better.
Okay, good. Okay, please start over with your question.
The question is, we have a lot of Amish people living based on the world was portrayed in the on not using electricity.
Okay.
Well, I ran into one in the store, and she asked the question, why aren't the Jews living like the world was created in the day? And I said, the fourth world, and we got it. And what he did in the other world doesn't apply to us today. We're on a different time schedule.
Okay, pause real fast just for a moment. I want to try to catch up with you because you're giving us a lot of information. I'm only catching about half of it. However, I think I might know where you're going. Okay, so it sounds like you're saying you live around some Amish people. You had a conversation with them, and that it sounds like you were saying that their claim is that the Torah of the ancient time should be changed because it's not up to modern times. Is that kind of in the right direction?
Well, the scientists said that our Earth is like our universe is 13 billion years old. And then you have people saying, oh, it's 6,000 years old.
Okay. Again, pause. I want to make sure I'm catching up because you will let me know if I'm wrong. So you've got people who are trying to disprove the Bible's claim of it only being 5,000 years old, the world, and you've got scientists saying that it's like millions of years old. Am I still on target?
Right.
Okay. Continue.
And our world, the universe is expanding.
Okay.
And where is it expanding to? And is this not a real reality? Because God created time, creation. So the other worlds where there were dinosaurs, we weren't there. Adam and Eve came after all that.
Okay.
Am I
Okay.
correct?
Thank you, Courtney. That's a great idea. Do me a favor. Are you following along in YouTube chat? Can you still hear me? Okay, I'm gonna hang up because this is really broken up, and I want you to do me a favor. if you're watching the video, that means that you have access to the YouTube chat. And Courtney, who's she's a new follower, she had a good idea. She said have her type out her message in YouTube chat. So you guys, whenever you see her comment and put the question up in detail, let me know. I'll kind of monitor it, and you can let me know when that actually happens. I think I kind of got it. But she have her type out the question, yeah. So I think she's kind of curious about, is there any legitimacy to having a 100 million-year-old Earth versus a 5,000-year-old Earth, because you got different claims. Let's answer this call. So let's keep that in our mind. We'll watch for the message and see if it shows up, and if not,
William,
yes.
Can I just
Yeah.
quick interject something?
Yeah, absolutely, please.
Okay, I don't want to lose the call, but I couldn't even hear her name. Okay.
I didn't either.
Jewish tradition holds that 6,000 years ago, 5,777 years ago, goes back to the Adam and the creation story.
Okay.
Okay. We give time names.
Meaning?
If I said to you 5 minutes ago, you know roughly what I'm talking about. If I say to you 1492, you know roughly when I'm talking about.
Right.
But we know from the New Testament that Jesus was supposedly born during the reign of Herod. Herod died in 4 BCE. Therefore, the year right now is not 2017. It's 2021.
Right, but there's only one issue.
If I said to you in 1496, okay,
Yeah.
added in those 4 years to make the time accurate, you would have no idea what I'm talking about.
That's true.
So
yeah.
My point is, I don't have a problem with believing the age of the universe. The commentaries tell us, based on certain things, in the Genesis rendition, okay, that God made many worlds until he came up with the present one, and that's the one he stuck with. That's the one he liked. So the dinosaurs could be from one of those creations.
Okay. Right.
Okay, and got wiped out. I don't, there's a very famous line, okay, from a brilliant play based on the Scopes trials of the early 1900s on evolution. It was made into the play is called Inherit the Wind, which is a verse from Proverbs. He who troubles his own house will inherit the wind. And go see the movie with Spencer Tracy and Frederick March, I believe. The brilliant line is, I am much more interested in the Rock of Ages than I am in the ages of rocks. And I can only agree with that statement, strange as that may sound. Okay. The purpose and function of the Bible is to tell us how to behave on this earth. It's not how to get to heaven. It's not a science thing about, it could be used for science. Archaeology shows stuff all the time that's accurate.
Right.
Okay. But to get bogged down in this 5,000 years, but the worth it is frankly useless. It doesn't get us anywhere. It's not the purpose and function of God's revelation. That's all I wanted to say. I hope she gives us a better explanation.
Actually, she kind of did. I found out who it was on the YouTube channel, and it was Ellie, and she said basically, let me go back. She was actually the one who's Noah Global. That's the actual one who just called in. No Global. It's got the orange circle with the letter N in it. 13 billion years by science versus Christians saying we are only 6,000 years old. Did not Adam come after 6,000 years? Because the sixth day, they think 1,000 years is a day, whatever, based on a psalm or whatever.
It means he's born today.
Right. So
if the earth is 6,000 years old and he comes after 6,000 years, that would mean he was born today.
That is a really good point. So the answer would be a big no. Okay, let's take this call. Caller, thank you for being patient. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Shalom alaikum. This is Jacob.
Alaikum shalom.
From Brooklyn.
Welcome, Jacob from Brooklyn. Welcome to Texas and Houston, actually, Austin. What's your question?
Excellent. There's a little bit of an echo, but it's okay.
Okay.
I can hear myself a second after I talk, but I'll try to get through it.
Okay, go ahead.
I worked in science, physics, nuclear fields for years, and there's many Orthodox physicists and scientists that support many things that the rabbi just said, opinions on the age, based on the fact that there was other universes and beginnings created in the Zohar,
Okay.
and also that in the first 2 or 3 days in Bereshit, there was no calendar or timekeeping. There was sun and moon. Make a calendar. But that could have been billions of years or whatever number you want to attach to it. So there's two people, quickly. Designer of the USS Nautilus submarine's nuclear reactor. He was a observant rabbi, a physicist named Dr. Alvin Rabkowski, and he's the one that wrote the improbability that DNA just popped together by itself. With Dr. Wigner, who was the other. These two scientists developed all the nuclear reactors in the United States, Navy and civilians. So these guys are like serious physicists. They weren't, some quacks saying things.
Sure.
So but you can see Dr. Rabkowski's paper. It's called Miracles, and it's in a scientific journal of the improbability of DNA just popping together. So I'll be quiet because I hear my echo.
That's okay. Okay, Rabbi, could you make a good?
Frankly, no.
Okay. Let's. What do you want to do?
Well, let me. There's a wonderful quotation, which I think reflects what he was asking, or I don't know if it's a response to it, but it says the following: the belief that there was nothing, and nothing happened to nothing, and then nothing for no reason at all exploded, creating everything, and then a bunch of everything rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits, which then turned into humans.
Right. That's a good. It's like kind of like they said. The whole idea of creationism versus what is it like?
Intelligent design.
Well, intelligent design is. Whoa, what is that beeping noise?
Well, I have to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's some like quacky. I hate to use a derogatory term, but there are some quacky creationist people, flat Earth, and there are some people in that group that are not really scientific per se.
Okay.
But these are from real scientists, and they're Orthodox Jews, and they're not just some guy writing books and selling tapes. They're pretty serious people.
And what are they saying?
Well, Dr. Rabkowski, he wrote a paper called Miracles, and Rabbi Beryl Wine actually has an interview about it.
Right.
He has it's called The Improbability of DNA just arranging
happening on its own.
Like chance, with no designer, no Hashem, just by random chances, secular scientists and atheists say, is totally impossible according to science and math. He displays in this respected journal paper. It's not just some guy writing something on a
Right.
So I'm kind of hearing a lot of echoing, so I hope I'm not being rude.
Somebody also on the live chat mentioned the Gerald Schroeder book,
Okay.
which I think is titled something like Genesis, God of the Big Bang, and he's a physicist at MIT, and also an Orthodox Jew, who talks about how Genesis and science actually matches pretty well.
Yeah, there's books on that. Lubavitch Rebbe, the Chabad Rebbe, has a book called Mind Over Matter. You got to find it. He has discussions with Penzias. All these top physicists have big discussions with the Rebbe about modern science. It's not like trying to discount anything. It actually goes to Torah and science match.
Right, exactly. But again, somebody on the chat mentioned something about carbon dating is not accurate. Let's say it was accurate. Is my faith in God predicated on a Bible that is perfect and needs no interpretation? No. Judaism is not fundamentalist. Judaism requires us to use our heads and understand the Bible.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah. The carbon dating is not accurate within like 200 or 300 years, as they try to say.
But even if it was totally accurate,
argon.
I don't rely on science. Okay, I don't need science unless I have an extremely weak faith to begin with.
That's a good point.
I don't need science to prove something for me to believe it, to know it.
Right.
Okay, I believe it because it's true. Faith in Judaism means believing in something because it stands to reason, not believing in something that's beyond reason.
Right.
Faith in Judaism means believing in something because it stands to reason, not believing in something that's beyond reason.
Right. I'll add one quick thing. I completely agree with what you're saying. Now, Einstein, you'll hear atheists say that he was an atheist. It's totally nonsense. I have his last book that he wrote. It's called Out of My Later Years. Well, he defines himself as a proud Jew and a Zionist, by the way.
Who was this?
Einstein.
And he's not an atheist. And
Einstein was never an atheist. Einstein even
complained.
Einstein even complained about the way his quotations were being misused by people to make it look like he was an atheist. He complained about that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
at any rate.
What's his name? There's a few of these guys that go around on tours embarrassing rabbis and preachers, saying they're idiots and things. It's not nice that they do. But usually the people that do things like that are failed in their scientific career and go around making money doing that instead. They're
yes,
not really
well,
doing scientific work per se.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for calling in, man. That's pretty cool. Good conversation.
Okay, excellent show, guys. I love you two. You're like a perfect combination.
Hey,
thank you.
Can't do it without Wil'Liam.
And I can't do it without Rabbi.
You too.
All right, shalom aleichem. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. I want to go back and play something. We actually got a message earlier. I thought I did. Where'd it go? Voice messages. What was it saying yesterday? Hey, let's play it anyway. Maybe it's a question you can answer. See what happens.
Hello. I have a question to Rabbi Singer.
That's okay.
One point
he meant Federow.
I believe is highly missed, or I don't know, not mentioned when answering Christian missionaries, is the fact that we had a Davidic descendant of the king of David, a Davidic king, ruler in Babylon until the 10th century, called the head of the Galut, Rosh HaGalut. And that is never mentioned by Rabbi Singer or other rabbis that debate Christian missionaries. The fact that we did have a descendant of David sitting on not a king's throne, but he was ruling the Jewish autonomy in Babylon up until the 10th century, where the last one was murdered by the Muslim caliph. And I would like the rabbi to address that, please. My name.
Okay.
I have no idea what he was talking about.
I mean, I'm glad that there was someone. It's not. There are those in the Hasidic community who can trace their lineage back to Adam and Eve.
Right.
Okay, this idea of nobody knows their lineage and it's just patent nonsense. Okay, and I'm glad to hear that there was someone who was part of that dynasty for so long, but that doesn't surprise me. God's promise is that in every generation there will always be someone who could be, sit on the throne of King David and rule over Judah. So I'm not sure what he wants me to say about that. Okay.
Is it possible I talked a little bit over his message? Should I replay the beginning of it again?
No, I don't think that's necessary.
Okay, let's see what the next one is. Unless you guys call in, 855-952-4253. The number is actually on your screen. So call in. So let's play this message and see what happens. All right, there we go. Ready? Is this the one? No, this is it right here. Okay.
Shalom, Ravi. Shalom, Will. I appreciate the show. My question is, now I know you, Rabbi, covered this extensively at the start of this segment, but I just wanted to ask, as a, I'm like a returning Jew. I'm Jewish
welcome back.
Ancestry, that is. I'm doing a conservative conversion program. My apologies to Ravi, but that's all that's available to me at this point in my life. But my question is concerning when I study reading like in Zohar and Cabalistic writings, I am very uncomfortable when I read references to a Godhead. It seems to me that that's going backwards, and I've even seen messianic material where they quoted from Kabbalistic writings. And
what is he talking about? Is he talking about in the Zohar it actually mentions like the idea of a Trinity? That's what it sounds like.
It's not. That's the problem. It sounds like it. That's why they latch onto it and say, "See, the Jews always believe, this nonsense." Okay.
I wish they would give us an actual section of the Zohar, because I actually have the Zohar right behind me. You can actually see it in my screen if you don't believe me. We could actually pull it out and actually,
by the way,
bring it up.
Go take a look at the Zohar's quotation. Go start over. Go take a look at the Zohar's commentary on Baha'alotecha, I believe it was. I'll have to look it up again.
Parsha.
Wait a minute. Wait. At any rate, let me.
Is that the Parsha that it's actually talking about?
No. I'm talking about a very specific quote that Christians who quote the Zohar kind of neglect to quote this one.
Okay, I'm gonna go look at it.
Give me a second. Wait a minute.
Take your time, look for it. I'm actually gonna look for the Techa right now. I'll pull it up real fast. Let's see what we got here. If I can see through my dadgum quadruple focals. Let's see. Where are you? Let's see. I'm not trying to show you my Heineken. Trust me. Hold on. Oh, shit. I'm in the wrong one anyway. No wonder I couldn't find it.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
sorry.
Which one?
It's the Zohar's commentary on Vayakhel.
Oh, Vayakhel. Okay. Hang on.
Okay. I was wrong.
That's okay.
Okay. I'm reading it right out of it. Okay. V'la al bar Elohim samachna. Okay. We don't put our trust in a son of God.
Right. Or the son of man.
No. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I didn't say that. It's bar Elohim.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. Lo. Wait a minute. Let me find it. V'lo al bar Elohim samachna. We do not put our trust in a son of God. If you take it literally, translate it literally, and for some reason, these Messianics just don't quote that part of the Zohar.
Okay. Okay. I finally found it. My
Found what?
my triquadfocals, bifocals failed me. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so he was in a Vayakhel, right?
Yes, I'm quoting it out of. I give me a second. I just shut.
That's okay.
The book.
That's okay.
Wait a minute. A lot of congregations, okay, when they take out the Torah scroll, come on. I just had it. When they take out the Torah scroll, they sing a song, Be'ana Rachetz. It's from the Zohar. Okay, it's a passage from the commentary on Vayakhel. And what they don't realize is a couple of paragraphs preceding the line that's usually sung. Okay, Wait a minute.
The weird thing about the Zohar, and a lot of people don't know, but
Here, okay, fine. Sorry.
the cool thing about the
Okay.
Zohar is that it's not like the Talmud. The Talmud is very hard to navigate around, but the Zohar is not, because everything's broken up by Torah Parsha. But the thing is, this dude had a lot of time on his hands, right, Rabbi? Because there's
a lot of the.
man, I'm talking
I can't
lot
remember
of
who
time.
it was, William. I can't remember who it was, but one of the major commentators on the Tanakh, on Talmud, just was an insomniac. He couldn't sleep. He would pray to God, at least give me 10 minutes of sleep tonight.
Really?
And
Wow.
I can't remember who it was. I shouldn't try to remember and name somebody and be wrong. But
Right.
and what he did with his time, because he couldn't sleep, was he wrote commentaries.
To give you an idea. I mean,
Okay, so this is the Zohar on Vayakhel.
Good Lord. Look
Okay.
At this.
It's a couple of paragraphs. Everybody sings Bay Ana
There it
Rachetz.
is.
Okay, whatever. At any rate, and in the midst of the commentary, it says, let's see.
The book is this thick. This much of it is actually just on that Torah portion. This dude could not sleep.
I'm sure. I know you got to have to read through it and find it, but
Man.
Lo al bar Elohim samachna,
Okay.
and not upon a son of God do we rely. Do we? I believe it. I'm sure it is.
Wow. That's
Okay.
insane.
You know.
Yeah, it would take forever to find it. Needle in a haystack. But yeah, I got you. Okay, cool.
No, when I come and visit you, I'll take a look through it and see if I can
Sweet.
find it.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I've got a chair spot waiting for you, like right next to me.
Right, but the Messianics just somehow kind of miss that part,
Yeah.
don't they?
Well,
They
I
want
mean,
to quote something. They cherry pick what they quote.
that's the only way they can exist. That's a sad truth about it. That's the only way they can actually make it work. Any thief has to give you only a half truth. Otherwise you wouldn't take them seriously. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So, what time is it? It's 9:18. See, man, it feels like we've only been talking for like 20 minutes, and it's already 9:18. Let's keep going. I'm good. Give me another phone call. 855-952-4253. Numbers on your screen. 855-95-BIBLE. Call in. Love to hear you talk. Let's see what else we got here. This is 12:42 seconds. Let's see what this one is. Are you still good? Do you have a phone call to make, or do you have somewhere to go? Medicine.
Something,
What?
William, I got to tell you this while we're waiting for somebody to call.
Okay.
Okay, although we should probably look at the chat to see if somebody has something there.
Oh,
but
yeah, good point.
when there was a period in my life, I guess I was a lot more obnoxious even than I am now.
No.
And I would never say Bible. I would say the Bible.
Being
And
sarcastic or serious?
Christian friends of mine would say, "Why do you pronounce it Bible?" And I would. It's like I set them up, and I would come back by saying, "Well, it's not how you pronounce it that counts; it's what you read from it."
Oh,
And then I would say, "You ought to try it sometimes."
nice.
Yeah.
Let's.
Like I said, I used to be a lot more obnoxious even than I am now.
I can't really imagine that, but hey, I love you anyway.
Thank
Okay, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hi, I'm David from London.
Hey, David from
Or
London.
England.
Welcome to the show. Do me a favor. I can hear the show playing in the background. Go ahead and turn your computer down for a
done.
moment, please.
Done.
Okay, wonderful. What's your question for Rabbi?
Hi, just want to know what you think of the some examples of anti-Semitism in the New Testament.
Oh, it's horrible.
Okay. I happen to be a stickler for language. Okay, you're going to have to pardon me for that. The passages in the New Testament are not anti-Semitic. They are anti-Judaism.
Oh,
You could,
right.
I'm just want to be clear here.
I already know what you're
You could,
saying.
you could argue that You could argue that anti-Judaism leads to, or is a part of, or is the same as anti-Semitism, and I would understand that. But the truth of the matter is, the New Testament passages are anti-Judaism. They're not anti-Semitic. They are written against the religion of the Jews. Okay. They'll call the Jews blind because we don't see their faith in our own scripture. They'll say we have a veil over our minds. Okay, I understand that. But it's anti-Judaism not necessarily anti-Semitism. Still there?
Yep. Oh, well, of course I am, but the caller is.
No, I meant him.
I know you did.
Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm here, yeah.
Okay, all right. And the answer to your question, what do I think about it? Okay. I think it is definitely anti-Judaism.
Also, like, which one do you think has the worst of it? Is it John or a particular book of Paul? Or?
I think it's Matthew.
He's like the one who actually manipulated the Hebrew text the most and made up stuff.
No. It's more than that, William. It's more than just manipulating the text and mistranslating and all the other stuff Christianity usually does.
Okay.
It's the way in which Judaism and the Jewish people were presented that more than John, in my opinion, explicitly led the persecution and murder of Jews.
Huh.
Okay. The scene where the trial of Jesus, okay, and the Jews are clamoring for the death of Jesus, kill him, and crucify him, and Pontius Pilate in his purity and in his innocence, I find nothing wrong with him.
Oh yeah,
and
right.
Okay, and what's the answer? I mean, what's the words that Matthew writes about the Jews saying, okay, let our sin be on the heads of our children,
right,
and our children's children forever. What parent in their right mind, unless they're abusive, okay, unless they're hateful, what parent in their right mind would even say something like that? And how could Jews even think that? Because it contradicts the Bible in I don't know how many places. My sin is on me, not on the next generation. They don't suffer because I sinned. They don't suffer as a result of my sin, but they don't get the guilt of what I've done. They get the guilt from their own sin. They don't inherit guilt. Deuteronomy 24:16. No child will be put to death for the sins of the parent. No parent will be put to death for the sins of the children. Every person is to be put to death for his own sin. You can't get a clearer concept than that. Okay, Ezekiel 18, the entire chapter is devoted to this idea. The whole concept that a group of people clamoring for the death of someone are going to say, oh, we know that what we're doing is a sin, is ludicrous. And then on top of that to say that the sin we commit, our children will inherit the guilt from our sin for every generation. Who? It is so ludicrous that it is so far from reality. So I would, and how many Jews in 2017 years have died because the Jews have been given the guilt for killing God, for killing their God.
Right.
Okay, as if God can die in the first place. Okay, I've heard Christian ministers say, Jesus was God who put on flesh like a jacket around his spirit or whatever. So that means the death of Jesus on the cross is he took his coat off? What does that mean? Okay. The idea that God can die or be put to death is so ludicrous. But the idea that the Jews are going to say, let our kids bear our guilt from our sin. And then they're going to say, it's just so far from reality. Okay, and you take a look at how many Jews have been murdered over the centuries because of the concept of Christianity of deicide. In my personal opinion, caller, Matthew is the book that created the most horrible anti-Judaism, anti-Semitism, okay, because it was the Jews they were after. Now that's anti-Semitic, okay, much more than John, much more certainly than Luke or Mark. There are other, okay, in the book of Matthew, who clamors, let me rephrase that. Who's the ones that are always bloodthirsty? Who are the ones that just simply cannot cope with the brilliant truth of Christianity? The Jews are always the ones to look bad. Pontius Pilate, who was, after 10 years of being the governor of Israel, was pulled back to Rome because he was a bloodthirsty son of a gun. In the New Testament, he's whitewashed to be this nice, and it's only the Jews who are the bad people. And I understand that John, chapter 8, verse 44, calls the Jews children of the devil, murderers and liars. We can't understand the truth because our father, the devil, was a liar to begin with, words to that effect. Okay. I understand that painted the Jews as if, we had horns. Okay, that's where Michelangelo, people say, oh, Michelangelo did the sculpture of Moses because they mistranslated the word beams, okay, when he comes back from God. No, it's because the book of John always portrayed the Jews as satanic. You're children of the devil, murderers and liars. In the same way that your father couldn't understand or speak the truth, neither can you. But I don't think that led to killing the Jews. I think that Matthew is the problematic book in that regard. And it's talked about as if Matthew, he's the Jew. That's the closest book to the Jewish community because he's always quoting from the Tanakh. Nuh-uh, wrong. I don't know if I answered his question. Is he still there?
Yeah, I think he's still on the line.
Yeah, I'm still there. Yeah, it's interesting. I was just thinking, how, in what way is that kind of not anti-Judaism? Because in what way is that anti-Judaism and not against Jews? It seems to me if they're painting Jews in a bad light,
exactly,
then it's not really so much anti-Judaism. Those parts aren't so much anti-Judaism. They're against Jews. In that
I agree.
Sense.
I agree with you, but by and large, the problems created by the New Testament is a result of anti-Judaism more so than it is anti-Semitism. There are passages that are clearly anti-Semitic, like the way with the one we just discussed. Okay, it blames all Jews, and it blames the Jew, not the religion of the Jew. Okay, if it wants to, put down, insult, negate, contradict, whatever, our faith, that's anti-Judaism. But when it starts attacking the Jewish people as Jews, that because they're Jews, there's a problem, you're right, that's anti-Semitic.
Okay, we may have picked up another call. Can you still hear us? Caller, can you hear me? I did. Okay, so that's great. That's great. I wanted to answer the call. I wasn't sure how it actually toggled. So, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in, and I hope I didn't cut the other caller off too soon. But I think you did a really good job, Rabbi, of answering his questions. I hope he feels the same way. So,
okay.
Go ahead, caller. Bear with me 1 second. Rabbi, do some closing thoughts on the last caller.
I just wanted to say. I forgot what I wanted to say. Let's go on. Old man memory,
Okay, caller. Go ahead and tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, guys. It's Courtney again.
Oh, hey, Courtney. How are you?
I'm good. So I wanted to ask, I was trying to listen, and he said that he thought Matthew was the most anti-Jew or anti-Judaism, right?
Yes.
So my question would be, have you read Matthew 23 where
1 through 3? Yeah.
Matthew 23 where he distinctly says, the scribes and the Pharisees sit at the seat of Moses, all that they say and do you shall do.
Right.
Right.
Now, of course, if you continue to read, it obviously goes on to say that there are certain things that are done for show, the lengthening of the two-seat and sitting at the best seat and to be called a rabbi and things like that. But I just wanted to know what you thought about that, and also how you felt about the Aramaic and Hebrew Matthew, which I actually haven't looked over.
I've got a copy of it myself here, so.
Right, and I've taken a look to it too.
Right.
And my own personal opinion is that it's a much later translation of already existing Greek.
Agreed.
And the New Testament was never written originally in Aramaic. And anything that
No,
people
no,
say,
not
oh, this is the
originally
original
written in
Aramaic
Aramaic.
of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, is a hoax at best. Be that as it may. Okay, you're asking about the quotation about the scribes of the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Okay, all therefore whatsoever they bid you to observe, that observe and do, but do not do after their works, for they say and do not. This is where we get the idea of do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Okay,
Right.
remember that as a Jew, I do not believe the New Testament to be divine, divinely inspired, from God, authoritative, or what have you. And therefore, my view of the passages in the New Testament aren't going to sit very well with believing Christians. So the question is not just who wrote this. Matthew probably never met Jesus or talked to him or anything. Whoever was the author of this book, okay,
They never
Matthew,
signed
Mark,
it.
Luke, and John were all
Right.
written 30 plus years, more than 30 years, at least 30 years after Jesus was dead and buried.
Right.
Okay.
Right. True.
So you have to ask the question, why was this written? Okay. Matthew, okay, is dated at post first destruction of start over. Matthew is dated post second destruction of the temple. Okay, in the 70s.
Right.
By this time, okay,
It's 40 years or so after the death of
Jesus was
reigned.
dead.
Right.
Okay, so you already had the establishment or the very beginnings of what would be called Rabbinic Judaism, which was derived from the Pharisees themselves. So in this one pericope, as they call them, this one section of this one narrative, okay, look, you had the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, and the Zealots. The Zealots were the ones for the open rebellion against Rome. They were squashed like bugs. We've talked about this on TORAH Talk before.
Right.
Okay. The Essenes were the lunatic fringe who took themselves out into the wilderness no differently than what's his name? David Koresh in Waco, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
Or a Jim Jones in South America or wherever it was. Okay, they're the lunatic nutcases who take themselves out into the wilderness, who violate Jewish law left and right. They were a celibate group violating the first commandment to be fruitful and multiply. Okay, they did not procreate. They therefore could only get numbers by converting them. They lose out too. Okay, the Zealots lost out. The Essenes lost out. The Sadducees were the group that defended the temple. They got their power from being appointed to the temple by Rome.
Right. Which
Okay,
creates another problem. I just want to throw out there real fast. If that's true, and I believe it is because there's historical references that point that way, then what could have signed Jesus' death certificate was going into the temple and destroying the temple because of the money changers.
Right.
Which
God
means-
himself ordained be there, and we've talked about that as
Right,
well.
right, absolutely. Right. It's very possible.
So, right. So the question then becomes, why is the person who wrote Matthew, late in Matthew, talking in positive terms towards the Pharisees? Because perhaps at this time, the entirety of the Christian community had not yet split off from Judaism, and the path that Judaism was taking was Pharisaic, which is to say rabbinic.
Right.
Okay, so you also have, in the writing of Matthew, okay, remember that you have a chronology that is not real when it comes to the New Testament. Mark was the first gospel to be written, then Matthew, then Luke, then John. But the epistles of Paul were written before any of them.
Right, he was the first, right. Before Matthew.
He was okay.
Right.
Paul is what is called antinomian. He is against the law. He portrays the law, and there's only one law. That's biblical Torah law. There's no other law. What else could he be referring to? Okay, he says that the law comes to curse you. The only purpose of doing the law is so you know you cannot do the law, and you need Jesus to die for you because you've sinned by breaking the law. Okay, Matthew was written after Paul, and Matthew is responding to the antinomianism of Paul by saying what the Pharisees do, which is the continuation of Torah law, okay, the taking the Torah law and applying it to their Pharisaic situation, okay, and so Matthew is actually contradicting Pauline theology.
Sure.
Okay, so part of Matthew being written, or at least this little bitty section, okay, is responding against Paul by saying, "Do the commandments of the Pharisees."
Right. Right.
You follow? Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, I am. One thing I want to chime in
No,
on.
I meant was she following what I'm saying?
Actually, she had disconnected. I don't think I hung up on her. I think she just hung up. She may have saw us going to answer her questions. But one thing I would like to say, I think I might know partially where she might have been leading is the fact that, or is the topic that that Jesus / Yeshua was at least trying to teach Torah, and I can see that. All across the New Testament, and I agree with that, with the exception of a few spots. Now, Rabbi disagrees. I'm cool with that, but
No. Seriously, it's not that I disagree.
Okay.
Okay, because there are passages where Jesus clearly is
teaching Torah,
teaching something.
Yeah. All right.
Whatever.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we don't know what Jesus actually taught.
Right.
This is only Matthew's portrayal.
Perfect, because Jesus never said, Matthew, write this down. He never wrote anything down. All you hear is 35, 40 years later of people saying he said this stuff.
That's my point.
Yes.
We don't know what Jesus actually said. This is Matthew's rendition, and he could be putting words into Jesus' mouth because Matthew, or whoever wrote Matthew, was responding against Pauline Christianity.
And my point would be this. Anybody who has something detrimental to say, they're going to tell somebody to write it down, or they're going to write it down themselves so that there's proof that they were there, proof that they said it, proof that these are the new set of rules. When you go to Congress and you see all this, if you look at the highway rules, if the speed limit changes, that's got to go. Something's written down somewhere saying that the speed limit changed, somewhere, by an official who actually has the authority to approve such thing. Jesus never wrote anything down his entire ministry. He never told anybody to write anything down. He was just going around teaching stuff. So
Matthew takes the various quotations that he knows of,
right,
and tries to put them together in a narrative, and he also knew the objections that people were saying against Mark's book. And so he could change the story around to give an answer through his text of the objections that people had to Mark.
Right.
And then Luke could take people's objections to what they said to what Matthew and Mark said, and then he could add stuff and change stuff and invent stuff like Matthew did because of what they were complaining about for Mark. Luke could do the same thing for Mark and Matthew.
Right.
Okay, and you can see this in progression. You know, there's some. Look, Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called the synoptic gospels. Synoptic, fitting to be seen together.
Right.
Syn like synonym, okay, same, and optic, just fitting to be seen together. So if you put the stories side by side,
yet they're so contradictory, though.
Well, yes, they're contradictory, but why are they contradictory? Because Matthew sees people. Look, you got Mark. Mark says nothing about a birth story.
Right.
Oh, but wait a minute, Mark, or whoever wrote Mark. I thought the Messiah was supposed to be a direct line, bloodline descendant from King David through his biological human father back through Solomon to King David. So Matthew comes along, knows about these objections, and he invents a genealogy for Jesus to answer the objections Jews had to Mark. Okay? You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
okay.
We don't know what Jesus said. We only have Mark's version of or Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John's version of what Jesus said. And there are some things that are in there where Jesus is giving his interpretation or whatever,
right,
teaching Torah, as you put it. I think that's a little strong, but be that as it may.
Which brings me to my final. I'm going to put this as a final topic unless we get a phone call. Okay.
I thought we just had one.
Well, we did. Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm distracted. I'm sorry. Yes, we do have another phone call. Okay, so after this phone call, I have yet another question I want to ask. Unless the phone keeps ringing, I'll give you 2 hours max. After that, I've got to disconnect. But right now we're at 1 hour and 25 minutes, which is
You are
great.
just no fun.
We can go to 3 a.m., but I might have an issue going to work tomorrow. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to this caller then, and we'll see what kind of good question we have. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name. Where are you calling from? That was not the caller. That was my cat. Just letting everybody know. Go ahead. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
All right, this is Jason Akers.
Jason, my man.
Hi, Jason.
By the way, that was my cat. It was not a rat, so we don't need a pest control. By the way, hey, if anybody...
I can hear myself.
I don't know why, because I don't have the Logitechs are not plugged in. There's no cameras.
It might just be my cell phone connection, because sometimes it'll do that to me.
Okay, you might need to remote in. It could be one of my video cameras has a microphone. I might need you to remote in, so because you're the second person who said that. Okay. So, if you don't mind. So, hey, real quickly before you ask your question, everybody out there, Jason Akers Pest Control on YouTube or whatever it's called. What is your Green Acres Pest Control? If you have any like bugs, wasps, ants, gnats, bed bugs, go to this guy's website. He's a genius, man. He's been doing this forever, and he's also my tech guy. So I shouldn't have told them that, because now they're going to be calling you for computer help.
Oh, I don't care.
That's okay. So, Jason, love to have you on the show. Tell us. In fact, next week. No. Tomorrow. Good Lord, time flies. Tomorrow night, Jason Akers, testimony. Okay, I'll shut up. Tell us your question.
I have a question, and I hate to derail you, because your conversation was real interesting, but is it ever politically okay to lie to someone?
Oh, halakhically okay to lie to someone, even if it means to.
Well, you're gonna love this one.
Okay, that's a great question. Is lying okay even under extreme measures?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know there has been times where people have lied in order to save another's life.
Right.
And so I'm just wondering if there's any other reason. I mean, I'm just assuming that would be okay, kind of like, getting an ox out of the ditch on Shabbat.
Right.
So that would be allowed, because the ox is going to die if you don't get it out of the ditch. So, what would be the ruling behind, like, lying, if that would even be allowed?
Okay, now wait, Jason.
But I'm going to hang up and listen.
No, don't hang up. Don't hang up, because actually I'm confused now. Because I thought you were asking about lying, like telling a falsehood.
Yes.
What does that have to do with?
Lying, like to say, like to
tell the not truth.
Right. So what does that have to do with getting an ox out of the ditch? I missed something.
Well, I was just using that as an example. On the Sabbath,
I didn't understand your example.
Yeah.
But like during the Holocaust, people lied in order to keep Jews from dying.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm wondering if it's ever okay to actually lie. Is that something that would be okay?
Okay.
Yes, and the answer here's my answer.
Rabbi, before you answer, let me add this. Let me add this. My understanding now, or what I'm trying to interpolate into his question regarding the ox in the ditch sort of thing, would it be okay for me to tell somebody I'm in more danger than I am just to get their help? Is that kind of what you're possibly leading to, Jason?
Well, no, I was just using that as a bad example.
Okay, forget I said that then. Forget you gave the example. Okay.
But that would work. That would work too.
Okay.
I mean, actually, that would be something that would. I didn't even think of that, but that would be a good way to put it. If you need help and you lie in order to receive it from someone.
Manipulation. Like witchcraft.
Manipulation. That's the same as lying.
Yeah, right.
But listen to the word you're using, manipulation.
Right.
You're already giving it a tone of you're already showing why it's wrong by the way in which you describe it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. But let me ask you a question, Jason. Is he still there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, here's the question. If I know the truth about something and I only tell you half of it,
putting
have I misrepresented? Hello?
You're withholding information.
Yes, withholding information and instead of telling you the whole thing, I tell you a part of it. Have I lied?
Well, it depends. Some people would say yes, and others would say no.
Fine. Okay. Those people who would say yes would also have to therefore say that God himself lied. William put up Genesis chapter 18.
Got it.
Beginning with verse 11.
Genesis 18:11. Got it. Okay. Coming to you right now. Jason, you'll see this in about 20 seconds.
Okay. I'm using the King James because it comes free with most Bible programs.
Yeah,
it's really the only.
Do you want the complete Jewish Bible, or we got ASV?
King James is what I prefer.
Okay, King James is up.
Like just before when we were talking about Noah,
now Abraham,
the better
and
translation
Sarah,
was King James.
Is it 18:11? So like the
Genesis 18, beginning with verse 11.
Okay, now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women.
Which means she stopped menstruating.
Right.
Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, quote, "After I have waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also." And the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Eternal? At the time appointed I will return unto you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son." God left something out of what Sarah said in order to spare the feelings of Abraham. Sarah said, "I have waxed old, my Lord being old also." But God did not tell Abraham that Sarah called him an old fart. Okay,
right.
God simply left that out of the quotation. Why did Sarah laugh, saying, "Shall I of a surety bear a child which am old?" In order to save Abraham's feelings, God told a half truth. He didn't tell the whole truth, because if he'd have said, "Sarah called you an old man," Abraham's feelings would have been hurt. And to spare shalom bayit, peace within the home, God himself lied, or at least withheld truth. If that offends your whatever, fine. So he withheld the truth. My point is, it goes back to what I said at the very beginning tonight. Use your head. God has given us intelligence. Okay? If you paint something like manipulate, okay, can I manipulate somebody to get him to do something because I need the help? You're already giving it a pejorative tone. Okay? Manipulation is, by definition, not ethical. There are times, if you're in the dark, okay, you're walking on a lonely street at 1 o'clock in the morning, and a woman comes running by you with half her dress pulled off, and then she runs off into a building, and then there's a big guy, okay, and saying, "Did you see a woman run by here?" You're supposed to say, "Oh yes, here's where you can go find her," and continue what you were doing? Come on. It is obvious to our most basic instincts, I think, personally, okay, when it's right to tell something that's not true, to lie, and when it's not right to lie.
Right.
Judaism says that you can tell the little white lies to spare the feelings of another, and explicitly uses Genesis 18:11 and following to exemplify this, because God himself withheld facts from Abraham in reporting to Abraham what Sarah said.
Right. Interesting.
Okay, I see. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, I understand. You did a good job. Thank you.
Jason, thank you, man. We'll see you tomorrow night, brother. And all you people need to listen in to Jason Akers' testimony.
Yeah, my wife's already wondering what she's going to wear. Did you want us to get on the camera? I guess we'll get on the camera.
You better be on camera. I got to see both y'all's happy faces, man. Jason and Alicia
All right.
Akers tomorrow
All right.
night,
I'll
8
see y'all
p.m.
tomorrow.
You guys tune in. Okay. All right. Love you, man. Thanks,
All right.
dude. Man, Rabbi Jason is he's just a mensch, man. He's just amazing. He's been such a helper like you would not believe. God.
Oh, yes, I would. You've told me about it.
Yeah, he's helped you a few times, actually. That's good. That's good. Okay, cool. Okay, well, my question eluded me, but I do have one more point to bring up, and
Okay.
I'm gonna bring it up literally right now. Let me find it here, and
My answer is I have no idea.
and you won't have any idea until you go back and watch the video. Judaism
okay.
and Christianity, a contrast. One of the best little dynamite packages you could possibly buy. If you don't have it, it's like a super condensed Rabbi Tovia Singer's 2-volume book set in a little tiny package, and it shows you tons of variances and differences between Judaism and Christianity. Not the similarities, but the differences in why Christianity does not work with Judaism and never will. So if you don't, we'll take this call if you've got time, Rabbi.
I do, but I want to interject something real quick, super quick.
Go right ahead.
Noah Global on the chat thingy.
Yes.
Whatever it's called, the chat. He says all brides are beautiful. He is reminding me of the debate. I think it's Hillel versus Shammai, another one of those.
Okay.
Where Shammai says, if the bride is not beautiful, you don't tell her she's beautiful, and Hillel says you always tell the bride she's beautiful.
That would be that's good.
And on the day of her wedding, all brides are beautiful. In other words, use your head, use your heart. You want to spare the feelings of somebody.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
Do you say a beautiful bride even if she's not beautiful? I think is exactly how it's stated in this passage. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And just to be fair, my wife says, "Honey, how's my hair look?" I'm like an angel. I don't care how bad it would look. I was like, she, of course, the truth of it is she always does look good, so I can't say anything else.
The most deadliest question: does this dress make me look fat?
Yeah. My wife doesn't ask me those questions. So.
Yeah, neither does Marcy. Thank God.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, let's take this last caller. This will be the last caller of the night. Caller, tell us your name, please. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, this is Nicholas Jacobowski. I'm calling from Carmel Valley, California.
Welcome. I appreciate all your messages, by the way.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for calling in. It's good to hear your voice. What's the question for
Hello, Rabbi?
Hi.
So I got this Catholic book, and I was asked to read the prologue, and it gives the scenario for the case of like Jesus as the Messiah who had to die, and the prologue was basically saying that you get all these people who are destroying the world, people are getting disease, and you have this one kid who the nurses say they need to take all the blood from. And so this was the case that Jesus was the one who had to die and stuff. So I'm just kind of, worried about that a little bit. I just want to know your thoughts on that, because I recently have left Catholicism, and
Good.
I'm coming to terms with my own truth in all of this.
Okay. Let me, William, would you please restate his question just so I'm clear?
I was just fixing to ask you to do the same thing. So he's
Okay,
got a
here's how I
book in
understand his
the
question.
statement. They're giving an example of how they're using logic. They're trying to use logic as to how Jesus could have possibly done what he did and how it could have been true based on logic.
Okay. Here's the problem with what they are saying.
Rabbi, hang on one second. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, they're saying they need the blood of a man, and it just kind of offends me.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing before I get any more talk on this?
Yeah, certainly. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's just the one part of it where it's like, I didn't grow up in Judaism. I don't know all the sacrifice to cleanse yourself or whatever, or to have a good bull meal and stuff, or lamb, or sacrificing the animal with the creator and stuff.
Sure.
So I don't understand how you can really take the blood of that kid, and I don't know.
And the answer is you can't. And the Bible is explicitly clear that you cannot. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Let me let me do this real quick. Okay. Just give me a minute. Come on. Now my computer decides to not respond. Just bear with.
That's okay.
Okay. All right.
Nicholas, you already understand that blood sacrifice is not necessary for all sins. In fact, it's only like mentioned for a few unintentional.
And also you have to understand that God called human sacrifice an abomination, and explicitly says about human sacrifice that is something that God hates.
Right. Because it's like the nations of other gods. They sacrificed unto Molech and have them walk to the fire. So
see, that's good. I find that good to defend that.
Right. Good.
Can I ask you?
But anyway,
if this my computer decides to be very slow all of a sudden, I don't know why. Okay, look, I'm not going to go tell you to buy my book. The cheap way out is to go to my website, which is whatjewsbelieve.org. Whatjewsbelieve.org. Okay, and you'll see that on the website there are topics, I guess you'd call it, one of which is that God does not want human sacrifice. Okay, let me go to this.
I'll go right now.
On, 13. Okay, how about this one? Thank you. Okay. So, for example, can we find it?
What about, like, I won't even get into Messianic Age or World to Come or anything like that.
Don't even have to bother with that.
What's going on? I'm on your What Jews Believe.
Right, whatjewsbelieve.org. Okay. Deuteronomy 24:16, which we explicitly already discussed in a different context tonight. Deuteronomy 24:16. The father shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. If God in Deuteronomy 24:16 says, every man shall be put to death for his own sin, Jesus cannot die for your sin.
You still got to turn back to the God of Israel, the Creator.
But He doesn't require a blood sacrifice. That's the key.
Yeah.
And He explicitly calls human sacrifice,
an abomination,
like the child you're talking about, okay, an abomination and something that He hates.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me find the quote real quick. Let's see. No human sacrifice. Okay, take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30 and 31. Deuteronomy 12, 30 to 31. Okay, Deuteronomy, a lot of Deuteronomy is, hey, look, Israelites, you've been wandering around for 40 years, rubbing elbows with your own people, but now that you're going to go take over the promised land, God says, I don't want you Israelites to become like the pagans that you're going to be rubbing elbows with in the promised land. Don't do what they do. Don't see how they worship their God and start worshiping me the same way. A lot of Deuteronomy is about exactly that. Don't become like the pagans you're going to be rubbing elbows with now that you're taking over the promised land. Deuteronomy 12, verse 30 to 31. Take heed to thyself that you not be snared by following them after they've been destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. You shall not do so unto the eternal your God, for every abomination to the eternal which he hates have they done to their gods, for even their sons and their daughters have they burnt in the fire to their gods. Deuteronomy 12:30 to 31, God calls human sacrifice an abomination and something he hates.
Right.
Jeremiah chapter 19, verses 4 through 6. Jeremiah 19, 4 through 6. Because they've forsaken me and have estranged this place and have burned incense in it to other gods, nor the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents. They have built also the high places of Baal to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded them not, nor spoke it, neither did it even come into my mind. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Eternal, that this place shall no longer be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but it'll be called the valley of slaughter.
Wow.
You can't get a stronger response to their, I'm being nice here, stuff, okay, that kill a child, take its blood, here in two places, in the Torah and in the prophets, God calls human sacrifice something he hates,
right,
an abomination, and so horrible it wouldn't even come into his mind to demand of people.
Right. And I will say this to kind of complement Nicholas's point too, and also with Christianity, they would say, well, you know, they're talking about burning in the fire, not hanging on a cross. But what the Christians don't understand is sacrifices were supposed to be burnt according to Judaism. They weren't supposed to be hung on a cross. So why would God, like you're saying, why would God allow something like this that other nations do when it comes to humans and offerings and whatever, regardless of how it happened?
Another thing, William, they'll say, oh, well, it says they're sons and daughters.
Yeah,
but
right.
If somebody over here
right.
sacrificed the son of somebody else, then that would be okay. No, it wouldn't.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
Everybody is somebody's son, and everybody is, every male is somebody's son, and every girl is somebody's daughter.
Right. True.
So it is nonsense. Okay.
Right.
That blood brings atonement. Start over. It is nonsense to say that God demands a blood sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin.
Right.
Patent.
Right.
Nonsense. Second thing is, it is patent nonsense that somebody gets the guilt. One person gets the guilt for somebody else's sin.
Yeah,
okay?
True.
And most important of all, the idea that one person's death takes the guilt of somebody else for the sins somebody else performed is unbiblical. It's counter-biblical. It's anti-biblical.
Right.
Pardon my self-servingness, but besides my book, take the easy way. Go to whatjewsbelieve.org. Whatjewsbelieve.org.
Or Creencia Yehudia.
Creenciajudia.org is the Spanish translation of the earliest version of my website.
Nice.
Okay, God hates human sacrifices. Okay, is one that you need to look at. Okay, a blood sacrifice is not required for forgiveness of sin. If you go to the upper right, okay, the white lettering on a blue background, okay, a blood sacrifice is not required for forgiveness of sin, and take a look at God hates human sacrifices. Most basic elements of Christian belief, no matter what denomination you're talking about, is unbiblical at the most, and an abomination and something God hates at the least.
Wonderful. Nicholas, I hope that answered your
good.
question, my friend.
Thank you.
What?
I said, very good, very good. Thank you for calling in. It's good to hear your voice again, man. Shalom, shalom to you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Mr. Wil'Liam.
You betcha.
All right.
Our pleasure.
That was very good. All right. Talk to you later.
As I'm fond
Shalom,
of
shalom.
saying, any way we can help you, we'd be glad to, and any way we can help confuse you even more, we'd be happy to do that too.
Yeah, to say the least. That's funny. Okay, good deal. Why can't I log out now? That's funny. That's okay. All right. Well, that was our final of the finals. There it is, right there. Let me do this before we get another call because we're gonna be up all night long and we can't do that. So, Rabbi, it's been a great show, man. Just wonderful spending time with you. It's good seeing your face.
I love talking with you. This is the best part of the week, or one of the better parts of the week, certainly.
That's wonderful, and I feel the same way. I really enjoy it much. And so thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I know you guys will look forward to seeing us next week, same time, same place, Monday night, 8 p.m., and maybe sometime in July I'll be able to have an in-house with Rabbi. He can come and actually sit right next to me right here in the room.
It'll be fun.
Without a Skype window. That'd be cool. I love it. It sounds like a good plan to me. All right, well, shalom to you, Rabbi, and shalom everybody else. Take care, and a little belated Shavua Tov to all. Take care, y'all. See you next week. Shalom, everybody. Love you, man.
Love you too.